but I found it easier working with the leads that I was provided, for sure.
No, that's awesome. Same way, I did the internet leads thing, and that's what helped me. But so what year did you get licensed? What year did you make that move into real estate?
2014.
Okay, 14. So
Mm-hmm.
so now you've been in 8 years,
Mm-hmm.
right? What's that journey been like? Take me up to current day. Were you always on a team the whole 8 years? Did you end up going on your own? Like, kind of walk me through some of those processes of
Sure,
your
sure.
years.
So I started with one person, and we're still wonderful friends.
Yeah.
But I
And
think,
that's awesome, right? Because in our business, sometimes you don't get that, right? Like,
yeah,
you're on a team or whatever, you're working with someone, and then all of a sudden you decide to make a move that you think's better for yourself, and that relationship's just boom, like done over.
I think I think I was more. There's my cat. It's not my child. It's my cat. It wasn't her. I feel. Excuse me. I think I was still very stubborn,
Hmm.
and she had a certain way that she wanted me to learn real estate and about real estate, and I wasn't really feeling it. So we parted ways, business wise, I suppose.
Right, right.
I still stayed at the brokerage, but went on somebody else's team. And I think because we were, two alpha females, very similar personalities, maybe that was part of the problem too.
Yeah.
I think it would be different today. But, Eric, who I was with, was, I mean, super laid back, just complimented. Like, I was still getting so overworked, everything. I mean, I would call him so many times, like, you will not believe this. And he's like, all right, take a breath, calm down, slow down, slow down. And that's exactly what I needed.
Yeah.
And, that's why I always tell everybody it's so important that you have that person. And he was my person.
Yeah.
I could call him anytime and any time of the day, during a night, text him, and he never judged me. I never felt like any question was stupid. And I know that I've asked questions multiple times because, you close one transaction and then, for months you don't have nothing going on. Then you close another. And I'm like, wait, how do I do this? Do I collect the earnest money, or does it's just so many questions. Like, it takes time for you to get used to the certain process. And it just never made me feel stupid,
Yeah.
and I loved it. I mean, I still until this day call him. Um, when I sat down and looked at my production, and I compared how much he has contributed as far as with the leads, or how many of my transactions were my own referrals or my friends, then I was kind of like, okay, maybe it's time for me to just separate. And I think I was with him though for, I think this is my third year by myself,
Okay.
so I was with him for a while.
Okay.
And it worked great. So
I think there's a key point there, right? Like, you understood your personality, and
I don't is did you
you're
were you able to hear that in my phone? You weren't able
no,
to hear it? Okay,
no.
cool. Sorry. Okay, good.
You're able to understand your personality, right? And what would work for you and what didn't work for you, right? And it's interesting. The last conference that I just went to, I'll have to figure out the link. I don't remember off the top of my head, but basically you take this like success quiz, and essentially, if you're both visionaries, let's just say it's a partnership and you're both visionaries, and all you think about is the future, and that's what you can think about.
Mm-hmm.
Visionaries eventually will leave a real estate team, right? Because they're always thinking bigger, right? And operators. And for you, it was like, hey, I'm this way, and the other person was this way, and it was this, right? Probably back and forth. Not saying arguing, but just the way to go about things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you realize that, yeah, I do need someone that's can kind of absorb some of that, but not necessarily be like, oh, well, Denise is mad at me, or Denise is this or that, or whatever the case may be. And I think that played it. I think just that alone probably played a huge impact on your career, just by having the right person around you in the early stages.
100%. I mean, it was definitely detrimental to my business, and still having her support, and
Yeah,
his support, and all of us being friends. It's great. I could not be where I'm at today without them. I think, to have that continuous support is so important.
100%, 100%. I agree with that. And so you mentioned you've been on your own for 3 years. What had you make that decision to leave a team and go out on your own?
I think I always knew that that's what's going to happen and that's what I'm going to do. And it just felt like it was the right time.
Hmm.
Um, I like to push myself, and you know, I when you have that kind of support, I almost feel like I was getting a little lazy with some things,
Okay.
because I would call him and I'd be like, hey, can you do this for me, can you do that for me, can you put this property in the MLS for me, or and it's nothing bad. People get assistants, right, to
Right.
do it for
Right.
them, transaction coordinators or admins, but it was more than that. I just felt like he's always there, so I feel like I don't know how to say it right. Not that I wasn't.
Not that you weren't taking advantage of it, but it was just convenient, right? It was
It
probably
was,
convenient.
yes, it was convenient, and I feel like I wasn't learning as much as I needed to or should have know about certain things.
Mm,
And I also felt like I am not going to learn everything until I'm on my own, because then, you know, I'm not going to always have him to call him, right? I mean, obviously he had incentive, we had a split, so I didn't feel bad about blowing his phone up 24/7. Now when I'm on
right.
my own, he's like, okay, I mean, he still will help me no matter what time I
Yeah.
call him, but I couldn't do it as often. So I had to really, really learn about what title insurance means and what different financing is there, because I basically just called him for everything.
Yeah. Yeah. That safety net, right?
Yes, and it's
That
important to
safety
know
net.
all those things.
Yeah. Yeah. So for sure.